I did tell you at the top of the show that we had a great lineup, and our next presenter's no exception. He was with the fire service for 40 plus years, and he started trading futures on his off days 40 years ago. He has a great presentation full of brand new cutting edge material. Ladies and gentlemen, here to present the discipline manager is Mr. Stephen Tremper of Tremper.com. Welcome back to Traders Corner, Steve, and a happy new year to you too, sir.
Hey, Rob, how are you? Can you hear
I'm
me inside
always
my
great.
screen? You see my
I
mouse
actually
there?
just passed my first FINRA exam this week, so that's my news.
Oh, good. I haven't been in the futures trading for 40 years. I was in a fire service 40 years, but I just started trading probably 10 years ago or something, maybe a
I'm
little
so
longer than that.
sorry.
It's no big deal. Makes me sound too old though. I don't know.
Hey, if you were in the
Anyway,
fire service 40 years ago,
I
it
was in
makes
the
you the
fire
same
service.
age as
I
if you started trading 40 years ago.
started in '76. So anyway, but yeah, we'll just keep the discipline theme going. It seems between Norman and here, just to keep the discipline going. This is a little, the discipline manager is a little different tool. As far as the trading, it was something that I had problems with many years ago at the beginning, and so this was designed for that, and that's how it all came to be. But needless to say, what I'm going to do today is just go through it, and what is it, and if you even need it, and how to establish your rules within the tool, and then give you some examples of what happens when they are breached in either direction, and I'll go through some costs, and then I'll show you how to download it and play with it, and any questions and answers, I'll be more than happy to take those. So who am I? He kind of gave me a little brief introduction. Like as I said, I was in the fire service, but started playing options and everything else, years ago, and failed at those. And somehow I ended up in futures, and it just seemed to be a much better fit. And I haven't looked back since. So I still have an options account, but I don't do anything with it. I don't even know why I have it anymore, but I do. In any event, so as far as disclaimers are concerned, I know Rob has mentioned all these, and everybody has all these. I really don't even need to show it on here, because the discipline manager, if anything, is going to prevent trades. It's not telling you when to take them or handle them. It just basically will stop you if anything. So I don't really need this, but needless to say, there it is for disclaimer purposes. So money management, as I think everybody in the business will tell you, there's a lot of statistics out there, and 90% of the traders fail. And there was a point in my career early on that I had to just wipe everything off, took every instrument off my computer, wiped it out fresh, and I started like on day one. I had to start all over again. But discipline was always an issue there with me, because that's why I like NASDAQ. I'm impatient. The board trade, and you're missing a rule or two, but yeah, it's close enough, so let's go. And I always had that problem. So there was that is how the discipline manager really kind of came to be. And you can Google it as far as the percentage. That's all I did, is to get all these numbers. They're out there, very easy to find. So money management statistics is, why do traders fail? It's the loss limits, over leveraging, over trading. That was my problem too. Fear of missing out, or fear of being left behind kind of situation, and waiting. You really got to overcome that waiting business. My worst 4-letter word is wait. You've got to be able to master the ability to wait and self-control until your particular trade and all your rules come together. And then you just, again, we're not traders, we're waiters. So, and I hated that. That's what I did not like doing. So there was my problem, psychology. So psychology, and we've had some rooms on psychology. Had a doctor in a couple times and gave little psychology classes, and trying to do all that, like the Mark Douglas kind of did. So getting out too easy, holding on to positions, over trading. I mean, all those, psychology is so big into the trading, and the discipline manager cannot help you with your psychology, but it will help you with your discipline. And then that in turn will lead to a healthier psychology. So control the losses. That's, the number one thing, is we've got to be able to control our losses and the winnings and whatnot. And down the bottom, there's you got the big win, the small win. you got the small loss and the big loss. And it's that big loss is the one that you could overcome all the others. And you know, you can win a lot of baseball games with singles. So you could handle all those. But those big losses, by moving that stop further and further away, or, you know, whatever it might be, because you know it's going to turn and it's going to find you, it's going to take you out, and then it's going to go without you. And then that'll really, you know, make you mad. So the stop losses are really important. But you know, the ATMs, they're automatic. You could make them, they're really easy to put together. There's some tutorials and trading videos on how to make them, for depending on how you want to trade and what you want to do, but they're pretty powerful out there. So you really got to be able to, you know, have that and then control that. You really can't, you could control the risk part of it, but the reward part of it is so hard, because no one knows where the market's going to go, and it could just keep going and going. And you know, the risk part is the easy part. You just put your stop wherever you feel is necessary, and whether it goes or it doesn't, and that's pretty much it. But you never know where it's going to go. But the most important thing is don't give up. You know, you make it so close, and that's basically what happened to me. I just had to start from scratch and start all over again, and I'm going to get this, I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it. And then, you know, finally, but if you give up, and you never know how close you're going to get. So, and obviously as time goes on, you know, you start out looking like fun, and then, oh, this is hard, and then you're losing some money. You try to go live because you're doing it on sim, and now you kind of get it, you're up and down. And then finally, as time goes on, you know, some people need longer time than others, but finally you can get to it. And my thing now is algos, and that's where I'm really kind of going right now, because I'm just trying to mimic my, you know, I've always been a computer guy, so I'm trying to mimic my trading, so I don't have to stare at a screen. And I'm not there yet, but I'm every day get closer and closer, so I'm not going to give up. But that's a story for another time. So anyway, you got to protect yourself from you know, with the personal trading manager, and that's where the discipline manager comes in. So picture yourself as your trading business. You're the CEO of your trading business, and you delegate your rules to the manager. And the manager then allows and monitors your employees, which just happens to be you also, because remember, you're a small trading company, you're everything. So if your trading employee gets a little out of line from over trading or whatever it might be, then the discipline manager's job is to come over and tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, you know, go take a break, or, you know, you're done for the day. And you know, they want to control the CEO's funds. Then at the following meeting, that typically a weekend after market, when you review your things and your trades and setups and et cetera, you can evaluate your rules. And if tweaking needs to be done, that's the time to do it. Maybe you make them a little bigger, shorter, whatever the case may be. That's the time you want to do it. And not during the heat of the moment on, you know, right at the open, and trying to, you know, change your rules just because one trade didn't go as well as you'd liked it to be. So that's the proper way to do it. And the discipline manager is designed to allow you to set your own hard daily and weekly drawdown limits along with your goals. And your hard drawdown limits, if they're hit and breached, then you're done for the day or the week, depending on what it is, but you're done for the day. It's not going to allow you to take any more trades. And once your daily goal is hit, you can continue to trade. Again, there's options. You can continue to trade, but never giving back more than, you know, a set amount or percentage. Or you could just be done, period. That's it. You know, you hit your goal, you're done. And if you try to finish the move to get a little bit more, it's not going to, you know, you're done. It's not going to allow you to take a trade. And this is called your dynamic drawdown limit, based on your account high. So it goes by your high. And as I say, depending on if you don't want to give, once you've made your goal, you could put in there 0%. I don't want any percent given back. I mean, I'm done. Or you could say, you know, I'll trade 50% of my winnings, or 33%, 25%, whatever. It might give yourself a little room maybe to kind of maybe take one or two more trades if you feel, you know, that it's possible. But, you know, that's it. You're not going to give back too much of that. And then there's warning boxes too. So there's warning boxes, kind of like the theme of the circuit breakers. And that is if they're breached, then you're going to get a pop-up saying, hey, you're on a 15-minute timeout. I call it timeout. But you're on a 15-minute timeout, and it'll even show you what time it started. So you might as well go get some coffee, go walk, shake it off, take a walk, whatever the case may be. It's just not, it's not going to prevent any future trades. And it's the whole purpose of that is it just gives the market a little time to kind of get away from this area, give yourself a reset, if you will, a mindset. Now, if there's a reset, now people have asked in the past, do I have to? Could I have it locked down? I don't want it. I don't trust myself. Or could I get a password I can give to my spouse, and then they can police? It's like, well, you're still the CEO of the company, but after a lot of discussion, we can't really tell you that we can't override your own system. So you do have to have some responsibility in there. So there is a reset button, but we make it a little harder. This is not, the easiest thing to do. So if you get popped out, you can't just hit the reset button and keep going. You do need to go through the steps and then come back in and, and then reset them and things like that. So by that time, in essence, your 15-minute timer is, kind of passed by also. So here's some of the, this is like just one page. This is the bottom page. There's that reset. So there's multiple pages on here, and I have the next slide or a couple slides that'll show them to you. But here's that reset button. So before you have set your rules, it's going to say apply. But once you apply them, then it has the reset. And so this is not an indicator. It does not go on your chart. This runs in the background as a separate window. Now, if you want to see the window, you could certainly open it up, because the settings, in order to get your you don't need to have them on, is basically what I'm saying. But if you do like to see like your peaks and things like that, you can run this and put it somewhere on your screen just to see it, but it's not really necessary. We have the status box for that. The status box came out just late last year. And that's because of all these prop firms and everybody was having problems with, not knowing and where they're at. And so the status box came to be. Well, the status box been out for a while, but just late last year, we added the prop firm ability in there. So we can test and check your realized and unrealized. Getting sidetracked on that, that's the status box that you can find on the web page. It's not has anything to do with Discipline Manager. But needless to say, so here's the reset button. And so let's say, example, you've got your drawdown warning at $350, and your hard halt is going to be set for 500. Now, once you breach the 350, negative, the Discipline Manager is going to create this warning 15-minute. If you have it set, it's going to create this 15-minute mindset, to timeout. And the warning pops up like this, as Aaron says, it's, your warning's hit, there's the time, and you can't trade, you're done, because you've breached your allowed limit. Now, if you then 15 minutes goes by, you come back, you take another trade or two, and you've lost it, and now you've breached the $500, which was your set allowance. Well, you're done. You're done for the day. That's it. You got to wait until the next trading day, and it'll, you fire it back up. You fire Ninja Trader back up, because Discipline Manager runs in the background. You don't have to turn that on. It's just there. And then you can start on the next day. So, and that warning pops up like this. It'll say your halt hit, and you're halted for on this. This was a SIM account right here, because you have to set your account, but this happens to be a SIM that I took the picture on. And so this account is done. If you have other accounts, you can trade other accounts, because each account has their own rules. But needless to say, this one is halted on that account. So the goal. So let's talk on a brighter side. So you hit your goal. So you're coming up, and you've hit your goal. You're going to get a congratulations. You've hit your goal. And so now you originally had your initial drawdown limit and your initial stop. This now it takes away from those initial parameters, and now your drawdown limits apply for that. And that's where, if you hit your goal, you're done for the day. Or if you select to continue with a certain percentage, as we talked about, you can continue to trade, but only a percentage of the daily allowance are you allowed to trade with. Now you could certainly quit on your own, but regardless, if you keep trading and then lose a percentage, it's going to stop you at that point, and that will just keep going higher and higher and higher and higher. And if you want to change your percentage, let's say $1,000, and you want to change your percentage from 50 to, you don't want to give back 50%. Now you're up to a couple $1,000. You might want to change it to the second rule, and that would be, maybe 25% or something. You don't want to give too much back. So whatever your numbers are, that's all doable in there. And I'll go through the settings here in a little bit. So once your goal is hit, then you could set it to 0, as I talked about, or you could set it to 100. So basically you're playing with house money, plus or minus some commissions or whatnot. But if you're willing to give back 100% of your winnings, so if your goal is $1,000 and you make $1,000 and you're willing to give 100% of that back, that means you're playing with house money. So the worst case scenario is you lose $1,000. Well, then you really haven't lost anything. Now, on a side note, because this was all put together long before these prop firms came out to be, some prop firms have calculations based on unrealized and some are based on realized. And on the web page, I show them all listed what they are. And because it's important that you know that, on my one page, I have a little paragraph that explains what that is and how it comes to be. And it's very important that you know that, and need to know, whatever firm you're going to be using, how they calculate it. So as discussed earlier, the dynamic drawdown rule also incorporates the circuit breaker if you want that. The timeout after the 15 minutes is breached. So let's say, a little sample here, I talked, you got $1,000 is your balance. Your dynamic drawdown is 700, which is 30%, and then you're willing to give back 500, and your realized account balance goes up to 1,500, and then now your balance, again 30%, goes up to 1,050 before you get a warning. And if you drop down to 750, which is 50% of the 1,500, it goes from there. So it's all a percentage basis. So as of 2020, I guess going back a ways, so going back a couple of years now, we added a few features, max trades, losses, and the weekly and the daily and weekly drawdowns 1 and 2. We just originally had just one drawdown, but now we've changed it because, as I mentioned before, if you hit your goal, well, you don't want to keep it at 50 or 75% when you get way up there high, because it's gonna keep trailing higher. So you might want to drop that down. So here now you've reached 25% or $1,500, and you drop it down to 15 or 25% of that. So that's what we were talking about as far as the percentages goes. So as of the 21, we added the naked positions, because that's when I started getting into all these bots. And a couple times I had naked positions, naked orders on, and I needed to get protection on that. So if you check that, and if it finds a naked order, now some bots, if you're trading bots, but some bots don't have stop orders. They just do it internally automatically. So you want to make sure that's off, because then obviously that would take you out all the time. And so there's your default. So once you put your rules in there, then you could hit it as a default. If you want to send me a copy of your rules, you could just hit this export button, send them to me, and I'll send it back to you what your rules are going to do, and then you can compare to see if that's really what you wanted or not, and tweak accordingly. The settings here is 2 pages. It's just one long one, but I broke it down. So you have your account up here. So each account has to be calculated. So if you're going to do it on playback, you have to set the playback account and apply those rules. And see down here in the bottom right, on the bottom of the screen, you've got apply. Once you hit apply, you'll get the red box there saying, and then it changes to reset. So, but you have to have all these rules, and you can set them as default, so you don't have to set them all for everything. Now, if you're trading one micro account and one mini account, then you are going to have to go adjust accordingly. But regardless, you select your account, and here you put the start time, if you want to do it based on the market like I do, or if you want to do it at midnight when your broker statement applies. So most people, I think, are doing it the market order, but again, this is going on your computer clock, so you have to make sure your computer clock is whatever time zone you're in. Here's we talked about this. If you don't want any kind of like the warning, like for instance here, if you don't want a warning, just 999 because it'll never be reached. That's more or less an easy way to just turn it off, if you will, because it's never going to reach 999. And so here's all your settings. Going to the next, and there's your weekly. It's the same thing with the weekly. It'll keep track of the days. Obviously, these are going to be bigger because if you have a daily drawdown, and then you lose it, and then the next day you'll lose it again. The next day, you know, by Wednesday or something, these are going to kick in. This was another one that added the unrealized, because a lot of these prop firms deal with unrealized, and so you can check that if you want to calculate intra-trade, but there's some cautions on that because you don't really see it. You wonder why, and you're like, well, yeah, I'm dealing with unrealized. If market goes up there, then that counts against you. And there's your stats. I was mentioning that if you want to take this window and shrink it down, if you want to see, if anything, I would probably just want to see these three here, just this. But you don't even need that with status box anymore. So if you have status box, but anyway. So one of the drawbacks that we have found with the discipline manager is it cannot suppress market orders. Now, market orders is if you wanted to put on an order quickly, there's no tool in Ninja to suppress that and turn it off. We've got this ticket open and it's been there for years, but apparently it's not a big deal for them to address it. But if you ever want to look the status up, you would just do that number right there and you would see what its status is, but I can pretty much tell you it's probably in limbo. But needless to say, so if you have, if you're trading along and you get breached and your drawdown, it says you're done for the day, and you put on a limit order, it's going to take it right off within a millisecond. And if you want to try to put a buy stop on, it's gonna take you off in a millisecond. It's just not gonna let you do it. But you're gonna overcome it and you're gonna say, I'm smarter than it. I'm gonna put on a market order. Well, you're gonna put on a market order and you're gonna get hit with the commission. And in about 1 or 2 milliseconds later, it's gonna come off. And all you're gonna be left with was a commission, possibly slippage. And then you're gonna go, okay, I'll do it faster. And you click the button faster. And again, it comes off a millisecond later. And you finally realize, okay, then it's not gonna work. So if you have a bot that uses market orders after this, you definitely want to, you have to know what your tools are. So how to get started. So currently it's offered at a subscription. I'm big for subscriptions only because people are coming and going all the time. If they're going on vacation or whatever the case is, I think they've managed it. They've had it for a few months. They feel comfortable and they don't need it anymore, and that's fine. And so they discontinue it. I mean, there's no reason to pay anything if you're not going to be using it. And I can't tell you how many thousands of dollars of indicators I have that are just sitting on my computer somewhere that aren't even used anymore. So that's the whole premise behind the subscription. So it's just planned to be used for a short period of time until you kind of understand it. It helps you and guides you along. Now, I do have a couple, a prop firm that uses it, has multiple licenses. They get the annual because they have it on their algos, and they use that as kind of like a policing, if you will, for overnight and things like that. So the download is set for a free trial, so you can download the trial. There's nothing required. You don't have to pay for anything. You just download download it right off the web page, turn it on, follow the video. It shows you how to make your settings. You can kind of figure it out and play with it. Again, if you're going to do it on playback, you have to set those rules on that playback account, but use it. And after, it's basically a month of trade days, and then some market replay, and you'll get an idea of if the tool is how it's going to work. And if you want to go ahead and continue it, then you would just go ahead and click that PayPal button on the page. I'll show you how to get there. And then you cancel it anytime you want. You got control of your account, and that's you turn it on and off, and you don't have to pretty much do anything other than turn it on and turn it off. And I have had people, many people, quite a few people that have turned it off, and then a few months later they come back, and that's fine. So for whatever that is. So how do you get it? So you go to tools. Go to the web page, of course, the main WayneTrumper.com, and you go to tools, and it's the first, I think it might not be the first one. I think I put them in alphabetical order now. So, but anyway, it's Discipline Manager. Status Box is the one I was telling you about. There's a video in there you can watch and check it out. I think anybody who's trading these prop firms really should look into that, because I think I have it on every day on my charts. So anyway, so that's where you go to Discipline Manager, and from in there, there's a video. You can watch the video. You could read all this business, and then you could click on this download button right here. Will give you the latest version, and you install it on your machine like pretty much all the others. There's a video on that, and that's it. Now, after the trial period, and you want to continue this because you feel it's valuable for you, then you would just come into this box here and just click it, and it'll open up and give you some options, because we do have an annual option there for people who want, and there's a few people that do that. So in today's special offer, as we always do, we're going to do the 30% off of that. So for the next couple days, it's going to until Wednesday. This sale is going to go to Wednesday, 30% off. It comes to $34. So the only drawback to that, though, is that the sale price and that link is going to go away on Wednesday, but you're not going to get your 20-day trial. So if you do want to take advantage of this, you're going to have to, make a decision before Wednesday, because that's going to expire, and that 30% coupon is going to go away. So I would recommend, playing around with some playback over the weekend, and Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, you're going to have to make some decisions, because if you want to continue with your trial, it'll keep going for the 20 days, but then on the 18th or 19th day, when you want to continue this, you're going to go look for this link where I'll tell you where to find it, and it's not going to be there, and then it'll just be back to the regular prices. So there's the drawback to that. But needless to say, if you go under the web page, again, back to the home page, and go under referrals. Now here, as I was telling you about, all these, I can't scroll down on here because this is a picture, but all the way down here, all these prop firms, and there might even be a few more that have been missed, but it'll tell you there how they're calculated, and you can click on them and go to any of their particulars to find out what they're doing. But under the discount code page, the website has been changed. It's got its own unique link right there. You just click on that one itself. But you're going to get into discounts. Now this changes. Obviously, this is all old stuff here, but these change constantly, because I'm always putting the sales on there. So it's like basically a one-stop shop, because I'm always getting hit up with these emails, and I just unsubscribe to them because there's too many of them. So I always put these in here as far as what's going on, and this is always rotates. And if you want to get on the list, you could actually just click this button and put in your email address, and you'll be on the list. So every time there's a change to any of these or things get added, as things get added, I'll send out a notice, and if you're on that list, you'll get that. So if you could set up that, and it's all free. Here's that information I was talking about with the unrealized and realized P&Ls. You need to understand your P&L calculations. But here is where I was talking about the discount code. So here's the discount code button for PayPal, and you would click on that one, which takes you then to PayPal, and this would be the rate. This is $34.95, and that's 30% off the regular price. But this is going to start right away, so this won't be not 20. It's not going to be 20 days after. It's going to start instantly. So I would recommend not doing this until you've made your decision to go forward. And if that's before the sale ends, then you could use this coupon. But if you want to wait until the full 20 days to use up the trial to feel totally confident on what you're doing, that's fine. But this sale will be off, and you can just it'll just go back to the $49. So that's how you would do that. The only other thing that I do need is the contract form filled out, because we go by third-party IDs. And on the Discipline Manager page down at the bottom, there is a link that shows you how to get a third-party ID right through Ninja on the Control Center. Go to Help, Third-Party ID, and you can create one that shows you how to do that. It takes literally just seconds. But on the contact page, you have your name you know, email address, because we do it that way. And then you would go ahead and put that third party ID on there, and that's how we could find you, and then we could let you go and go from there. That's pretty much about it. So that is the gist of the discipline manager, and I can go through any particular questions, or I can go back to some slides if you have any other questions. But other than that, that's the orientation on the discipline manager. I kind of made it a little shorter just because I think a lot of people have already seen it before, and there may be some new ones, I don't know, but here's our COVID, our year of COVID. All right, let me look at let's see, what is the cost besides Apex cost? I think that would be a question to the last presenter for Apex. If you go into the yeah.
If you scroll down and look at the time received, the questions from 12:45 to present are the ones directed at you.
12:45. So what is the cost besides Apex cost? So, okay, so let me go back there. So we did, the regular cost is $49.95 a month, or the annual for $397. So it's obviously choices. The special that we're doing today is 30% off that, which brings it to $34.95. So that, but then yes, if you have other prop firm, you know, brokerage and market fees and commissions and FTC fees and all these other fees that are associated with it, then you're going to have that. But Apex, I don't think they have a sale going on. Yes, there is. If you go to the discount code page, you'll see whoever has a sale going on, it should be updated. How much does this? Okay, it talks about that, the monthly, annual, and then lifetime. There is no lifetime, just only because whose life? You know, my life, your life, the company's life. I mean, who knows? It's like Netflix. Like everything nowadays is a subscription. You know, you can't even talk on your phone without having a monthly subscription. So that's kind of where the premise. I know Microsoft kind of went to that over 20 years ago, and many other companies are doing that. And I think it's fair, because why pay? Because to do a lifetime cost, it would be a lot more money. And then what do you get? What's the typical 5-10 day trial? And then if you don't like it, then you're out. So this way, you got 20 days. And if you haven't made a decision in 20 days, if you feel that this tool is good, then, you know, no hard feelings here. I built this tool for me. You know, it was never intended to, you know, broadcast out to everybody else. Ninja called me up and said they wanted to do this, and they turned me into a licensed vendor. And this was actually the second tool I had, but this was, you know, pretty much a main tool that everybody was, you know, kind of wanted. And but again, this was for me, and with no intent of actually even going on. So my theory is just keep it low, and if you like it, you keep paying for it. If you don't like it, it's like anything, you know. If you want electricity, pay your monthly bill. It's kind of simple. So I can't ever see changing to a lifetime. I never say never, but I don't ever see that, you know, happening. So other than that, that's all the questions I have. So we have a few minutes if anybody wants to see.
Hey, I'd like to ask a question.
Sure.
What was your first tool?
Reversal bars. The reversal bars were, and it's still available on the webpage. That was done on 7. And then when 8 came about, I held off as long as I could, and I had to go to 8, you know, just because that's what you got to do. So I went to 8, and so we had to convert all this, and so it was like, well, can we just tweak it? Well, the way that from Ninja 7 to Ninja 8 it was basically had to be built from the ground up. So I mean, it had, obviously all the logic was there, but it had to be rebuilt. So when reversal bars came out, I added tools to it, things that I kind of wanted, and so I added those things to it. And so that's available right now, wherever that page is. Like all these here I've made for, I'll just go through these real quick. So the reversal bars are the first one. 7 is free, and 8 was not. It's a small. They're all minor charges. This is ATR projections. I believe that one's a free one too. This was an indicator, or down here you notice the strategy also. That was my first strategy. The entry signals, that is a tool that just automatically places the, this is that we took off, we've changed it to signal plotter now. It's a tool that will automatically place trades. The management isn't there as far as the stop management, so that does have to be controlled. But as far as when things go on, it just automatically takes the trade. Price extensions was me, because I'm one of those guys that likes statistics. and I needed to know, like with if anybody knows like the MAE and MFE business, or ETD, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, when Ninja gets out of a trade, it measures how far that trade went and how much you got, but that doesn't do me any good. What I really want to know is what happened after I got out. Was I getting out at the proper spot, or was it continuing to go 100 more ticks without me? So by having price extensions, it continually, even though you're out of a trade, it continually is monitoring the market, and I'll tell you, how many ticks it truly went past your exit. Support and resistance lines, that's a pretty neat tool. One thing good about this one is, support and resistance tools are there are a lot of them out there. So this is pretty accurate, but the key on this one is I'm all for what I call synthetic data series, because I like to look at the smaller chart, because I can see the movement and the ebbs and flows of the market. But I don't trade on that. It's just, especially like NASDAQ, you can't trade. It's just too fast, too whippy. So, but if you look at a bigger chart, you can't see the ebbs and flows. So you really need to see the smaller chart. So that's where I like the synthetic data series. So on this support resistance, you could be looking at a 1-minute chart, but you could say, give me support and resistance of a 15-minute chart, or a range, give me a 21 range chart, support and resistance levels, but I want to look at them on my small 1-minute chart. So that's what I like about that. The status box that's the latest one, and that was pretty much with the development of, it's been around a while, but we've added this whole new concept in there about the peak and how much drawdown you have left, because it's very important, especially with these unrealized. If you don't take your profit and it goes up and then comes down to break even and gets you out of break even, well, you might be at break even, as far as your P&L is concerned, but as far as their calculations concerned, that thing went up 100 ticks and you didn't take it. That's your bad. We're counting that 100 ticks against your account. And so with the status box, it'll show you, and there's a little video in there. You could, I think it's like a 1, 2, maybe 5-minute video on what it does. There's videos on all those of what they do. But and so that's what that one I think is, anybody using prop firms really should look into that one. And then the target zone was one that I put together because I got so tired of getting 1 or 2 ticks away from my target. When you have a target up there, it has to hit it exactly. You could tweak it as far as when it gets out, but when you hit your target, you price hacks actually have to get there. Well, that's, I just have a zone. I'm like, look, this is my zone. Here's my area, give or take a little bit. So this target zone just attaches to your target. And depending on how big the zone you want to have, that's fine. And once you hit that zone, as far as it's concerned, you're good. And if it comes back and retraces X amount, depending on how much you have it set for, obviously different markets are going to need a little bit more room. But let's say you have a retracement of 10 ticks, and now it gets to your zone. Well, it'll keep going until your actual, true target gets hit, and it'll just keep chasing it up. But if it comes down 10 ticks, anywhere in that, boom, it'll say target's hit and you're done. So basically you're turning your target into a whole area. And you set the time and the size of that depending on the market. And obviously some zones, like your first target, you might have very narrow, because it's like you need to get that because it's your first one. It's the fastest, the quickest, and you'll be out sooner. Maybe on your second or third target, you might want to have a bigger zone, because now we're starting to really get far away. So that's that one. Then the volume sliver, that one works. That just takes the daily volume and just breaks it down to whatever you want. You want a 5-minute, you want a 15-minute, you want a range, however much time you want out of it, you could police that. And basically it's like your speedometer in a car. It just takes the last 15 minutes and shows you, what we are right now with the bar. And then you have your minimum and max where it just changes colors if it gets too far over your number or under your number. So let me really quickly go over these last few things. Hi, I'm late into this webinar for forex. The webinar for forex. Oh, that's Rob. Can we sign up?
That one for you.
Yeah, that was kind of. Can we sign up for the trial and then use the discount code with the same email? Oh yeah, the email address is just a way to find you. That's all. Because when you download the trial, I don't know who you are. I mean, anybody can download it. But if you're going to actually subscribe, then we need your email because PayPal uses the email address, and that's how we have to find you. So yes, you can. You don't need a second one, and you don't need a second computer. A lot of times people think they need it on 2 computers or they need it on for multiple versions. No, you don't, because this will do all the accounts that you have. Matter of fact, I have a multi-user subscription to sign on. So I could have Discipline Manager on one computer and I could trade on my other computer and it will police it as long as it has access to that account. It has to have access to the account so it can police, but if it does, you don't need to have it. And you could set up, like if you're doing like, trade copiers or any of those, trade copying platforms, you just have to have your rules set up on each of those accounts because each one is individual. And that's the whole purpose of just making it a default. And then you can go in there and just go boom, 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 apply to all your accounts. And then assuming they're all the same, if they're micro and minis, then obviously they're not going to be the same. So anyway, hopefully that helps that. So that answers the questions and that answers the tools. And I think I'm right on time.
Stephen, you are exactly on time, but we are in a situation where the next presenter is not in attendance yet. So if you would like to keep going on, you are very welcome to, and I'll politely interrupt you if and when he shows up. And if not, I'm just kind of going to do a Q&A session with the audience.
Oh, all right. Kill some time.
Oh. Actually, I see that our next presenter is here, but he does not have organizer or presenter rights. So I'm going to go find him in the audience.
All right. Well, I'll just stay here if anybody does write sorry. Okay, it's fine. You just cut me off whenever you want, then.
No, that's him.
Oh, all right. Well, then I'll talk to you later.
Hey, hold on a second. I gotta, read your outro. Thank you, Steve.
Hello.
We always. Case, is that you?
It's me.
All right. Let me just read Steve's outro and introduce you properly.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't. I think I grabbed the wrong link.
Yeah. No, you came in as an attendee, not as a presenter.
Okay.
But ladies and gentlemen, if your emotions are getting in the way of your trading, Mr. Tremper of Tremper.com does have the solution. It's called the Discipline Manager, and you can learn more by clicking in the chat box or going to www.tremper.com. His tools have been a game changer for so many traders struggling with overtrading, many other emotional issues that traders commonly face. Thanks again, Steve, for being here, making such an offer to our audience, and taking the time out of your schedule to join us today. And a Happy New Year, Senator.
Thanks for having me.